Okay, so this video will be on how to understand Italian and il passato prossimo. So basically, to understand Italian, besides having the basic concepts, which you should generally have, there are a series of rules that you can follow in order to first translate a word or a phrase. So for this, we would use zione equals tion. So if I had station, it would be stazione, because tion in English, zione in Italian. This works for almost every word, and the ta the, with the accento on the a would be is ty. If I have, just like if I have city, città, the ty, city. Oso goes to ous. Famoso, famous. Za goes to ce. Importanza, importance. These are all parole simili, these words, similar words. And basically, besides knowing vocab initially in Italian, you're supposed to understand these rules. And with these rules, you can easily even create your own word in the context and try to improvise as well. And you don't have to have the entire knowledge of vocab that your teacher might make you memorize, understand. You don't need that. That is just a basis for the foundation. And once you proceed from that foundation, where you understand at least what you're talking about, then you can proceed to understanding the rules. And the rules are there so that if you don't know a word, maybe you can just improvise, like said before. And also we'll cover la grammatica generalmente, generally grammar, and aggettivi, like adjectives. Singular O goes to plural I, agrees in gender and number, goes to E can go to E dependent on the adjective. The adjective does not have to be identical with the noun, just must be in agreement, the same masculinity or femininity, and singolare and plurale. Now, this is like generally a suffix. Isimo. If I say bellissimo, it's for adjectives though. So bellissimo, very beautiful. So it always will be added to the masculine plural of the adjective. And then we're also going to cover oggetti diretti, direct objects. Now in English, direct objects are like, I have a book. I have it. It is the direct object. Pronoun of it. But the book would be the direct object. And then we have formal, which you don't exactly entirely need to know. It will be used dependent on your situation. You're talking to a teacher, it should be formal, friends, informal. Generally, if I say, if you know how to conjugate verbs, and this is for more advanced Italian, you know how to conjugate verbs like, io devo comprarla. This is an example of it, which means I must buy it. The LA translates to the it, but I added on to the infinitive of comprare, because when I have devo, I have to have comprare as an infinitive. I can't have devo comprarlo. It doesn't work. And I can have io devo comprare la mela, and it turns to devo comprarla. You don't always have to have io either. Another example, io do un libro ali. This is an example of pronomi doppi. This, which is double object pronouns. Lo do a Ali. Lo do a Ali means I gave it to her, or give it to her. Io do un libro Ali. Glielo do. That's pronomi doppi. Avverbi, adverbs. You add mente onto the feminine form of the adjective. But generally, I can translate to generally to generalmente. Words like these, generale, praticale, I can translate to praticalmente instead of praticamente. Like, it doesn't work. You have to have praticalmente. And then the rule of articles, which you should know by now. General phrases. Um, so basically, that's about it for the key to understanding it. And you have to have a good ear for it. Like, you have to understand what they're saying. If I say io parlo italiano, you have to understand that I say I speak Italian. You have to be able to translate. Like, you should have years of experience translating so much that you just naturally translate. And then we have passato prossimo. Now, passato prossimo is a tense that is used in the past. It's the basic past tense for Italian. If I say io parlo con signora Beatty, I speak to her. That's present tense. If I'm going to the past, I'm going to say io ho parlato con this. And when I say io ho parlato con signora Beatty, I'm saying I spoke with her. I spoke once. One completed action. That's where you derive the difference between imperfect and passato prossimo as well. Because imperfetto, as you know, will be a continuous strain of it. Passato prossimo is just one completed action at the time. And its difference is also in avere and essere. Avere to have, essere to be. And avere is generally for almost everything, which is besides essere. This is the main way to think of it. You have essere. Essere is to be. I use essere as the helping verb but in here I use avere because this is just a general statement. But if I have something where I say, if I say something that has to include essere, it would be something that is of motion at the time. Like, I went somewhere. Io sono andato. I went. So, this tells you andare is to go. It's of movement. So, I used essere as the helping verb. Io sono andato. And I change andare to andato, which means eari goes to ato. Iari goes to uto. And ari goes to ito. So, when I use this and that, this is just simple translation. Io ho parlato. Io ho mangiato. It's simple. And then you get to ere, and then you just change it to uto, and ire is ito, like ho finito, I finished. But when you get through that, there are going to be irregulars. Generally speaking, most of the irregulars that you're ever going to use are going to be like vedere, which could be ho visto or ho veduto. Or you're basically just going to be able to understand that, like, mettere is meso. You're supposed to be able to understand this already, and when you understand this, that's when you'll be able to use it in context. If a teacher was ever to ask me what I did yesterday, sono andato al cinema. I went to the movies. So that's especially for speaking and for writing as well. Now, passato prossimo is very important, and it should be one of the first grammatical things you ever learn in Italian, because you have to understand how to say something in the past before you can continue. So, but there's also a little contradiction in here, because if I was to say I was, I'm going to use the imperfetto instead. I'm going to use ero. Just because when I am something, I am the state of being. I continually be that thing. But if I say something like, if also I have something that's like weather, and this is for special things, and as you'll learn in the imperfetto when I discuss the imperfetto, you have certain things, and it would be like pioveva. It rained outside. Because I can't say it rained once, because it was continually raining. It didn't rain for a second. It continually rained. That's what raining is. So, but anyway, that's just general for Italian. And in Italian, you should understand the alphabet, you should understand pronunciation, you should understand converting sentences generally, and that's basically the core of it. You don't have to memorize so much vocab, but because we don't want your brain to blow up with vocab, there's just the understanding of general vocab. You need vocab to form the sentence, but you should already have the understanding of vocab. And it reminds me of a similar thing because last year I was reliant on vocab. So last year I was unable to have much of a conversation, but my teacher when last year and my teacher again this year both spoke like we didn't know the vocab. We weren't supposed to know it. But when I had words confronted like technologia, I'm able to understand that that means technology. And this is the full thing because I had no idea what technologia means if I had nothing to if I didn't memorize the word, and I didn't at the time, then I would just be like, what's that? But more so, I'm able to understand because of the concepts and rules and general Italian sounding things, and translation becomes easy that way. And basically, conversations will come easy too as you do that. You can improvise very, very easily. And like for example, when I had la technology, I had no idea what it meant, but I was still asked what it meant, and I said technology because technology basically tells me technology based on my this is based on my knowledge of understanding the Italian language, which is more advanced than almost anything, because once you get to the higher level, you will understand that you can't just memorize every word. It doesn't work. You have to have the understanding of how the word is formed to translate it and the rules it displays. Like, if I had no knowledge of generalmente, I didn't know what that meant. But I had the rule in my mind that adverbs are formed by mente. Okay. So this translates then to generally, because generale, and then mente combine forms generalmente, which means generally because it's an adverb and mente tends to mean ly. Of course, you have other adverbs as well, like bene, well, and the things that people confuse even in English. But more so, it's that you understand the concept of the language, not the official memorization of the language. And with anything, it's a lot of practice that you need. So if you have any questions, just ask in the comment section and subscribe.